One guy is happily
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it, caught, touchdown, did he get it?
Good afternoon. Welcome on in. Hour number 2. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. Streaming on 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Lots of different ways to follow the show. And if you missed last hour, you can find it on our podcast feed. You can find it on our website. It's already posted. But don't go there yet. I want you to stick around with us for this next hour if you can. A lot of different things still going on. The NHL regular season has concluded. Their playoffs are getting underway. Unfortunately, that does not include the Utah Hockey Club this year, but it was still a pretty exciting year, and its inaugural season in Utah with this new franchise with the NHL in Utah. We've spoken with him before. He's a friend of the program. We appreciate his time. Mike Folta, play-by-play announcer for the Utah Hockey Club, joins us now here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Yeah, good to be back, Eric. Good to be talk with you guys again. It's an exciting time of year in the hockey world. It's the start of playoffs. Unfortunately, Utah is not going to be a part of it this year. But we've seen this team take a huge step in year one, and the future is really bright. And talking to all the guys this morning at exit meetings, they're excited to still be playing at this time of year next season.
And I kind of want to lead off with that, where you talk about the taking a big step forward. Obviously, there was a disappointment of not making the playoffs. That was something I was hoping they could maybe manage to pull off in this inaugural season, even though we kind of knew they were kind of exiting a rebuild. But I kind of want to ask, if we're going on a scale of like 1 to 10, given what the expectations of this team were, like we knew this probably wasn't going to be a Stanley Cup contender, but like given the expectations of the team, how do you feel like the team did in terms of fulfilling those expectations and producing a good inaugural season for the club?
Yeah, I think the guys are still pretty disappointed that they didn't make the playoffs. Like, even though this team is right where they wanted to be, which is playing meaningful games. That's where the organization wanted to be. But these are competitors. They wanted to be playing in the playoffs, and so they're disappointed that they didn't make it. And they really believe that they had a shot, and they did. So I can't give them full marks because they're not in the postseason. But I'll give them a 6 to 6.5. General Manager Bill Armstrong was saying from the beginning, like, hey, our goal is to be playing in meaningful games in March and in April, and then come next year we'll be a playoff contender. We'll be playing postseason hockey here on the Wasatch Front, and so we've kind of accomplished the meaningful games aspect. This team was in it right until the last 2 weeks, I'd say, of the regular season. It's another improved win total for head coach Andre Tourney. He continues to elevate the expectations of this group. And he also got to factor in the injuries. I mean, Utah was without two of its best defensemen, Sean Dursey and John Marino, for literally half the year. And Utah's top 4, so the top 2 deep pairings, those guys only played together for 19 games this year. So there's a lot higher ceiling for this group than what we saw this season.
Well, and also a little bit thin in the net too, right? I mean, so some of the things that this team had to go through this year, I wouldn't call them growing pains. I think those are probably what were experienced in Arizona more than here, but still growth that happened, but just not quite enough growth. Is that because some of these guys that were out for extended periods of time, or just some of the youth that comes with this team and how it's growing?
I think just based on roster construction, I think if you were to look at like the talent in the lineup at the start of this year, I think most contemporaries were saying that there was a 50-50 chance this team makes the playoffs, just based on talent alone. you still probably need another centerman down the middle. That's probably, I would think, part of the offseason plan for this team, to get another true top 6 centerman to help Logan Cooley out with matchups. But you also gotta give credit to the individuals on this team. I mean, there was, I would say, over half of the roster reached a personal high in their own personal production. The captain, Clayton Keller, sets a new career high in scoring, and that's saying something because he's had some big years. Your young guys, Logan Cooley and Dylan Guenther, they each took their game to new levels and had new personal bests this year. But also, a lot of the depth guys had personal best seasons this season. Where Barrett Hayton, who had a really tough year last year, only played 33 games in Arizona, injury problems left and right. He came back and had a personal best season this year. Jack McBain, who head coach Andre Turney calls one of the grumpier players on the team, in a good way, on the ice, you mean. Jack had a personal best season in points, but also led the team with 8 fights this year. And he'll go out and run you through a wall. He's one of the league leaders in hits. So it was a good season for him. And you can go on down the list, all the way down to Karel Vejmelka in net, who kind of took his game to points we haven't seen from him this year, taking on the workload of a true number one. And you just have the core of this team taking steps forward as a unit, but also on individual bases as well.
So I think you've preempted one of my questions a little bit, because you mentioned maybe one of the needs they have. But I wanted to ask, like, generally, what are most of the biggest needs that this team has as they go into the offseason? And then what do you feel like are the areas that they'll, like, what are the biggest ways they'll try to fill those needs? Like, are they going to look more toward, like, do they have up-and-coming guys from, like, the minor leagues? Are there free agent targets? I know that the draft doesn't tend to yield guys immediately, but what are the avenues they're going to look to fill some of those needs that they do have?
Well, you're right. The draft does not typically yield results immediately, so that's kind of have to temper expectations for new fans on that. Typically, NHL draft prospects, kind of like baseball, you don't see them for a couple of years. But needs of this team, I mentioned the center position. You need probably another, like, really elite-level goal scorer. Now, that could come from in-house. Like, Dylan Guenther had, 27, 28 goals this year. Maybe he has 35, 40 next year, because he's only 22 years old. But you look at these playoff teams, and a lot of them have multiple 30-goal scorers. Well, Utah had just one in Clayton Keller, who got to 30 in the final game. So you need to score more goals next year. And I think we'll see a lot of development from these young guys, the Guenthers, the Cooleys, the Josh Dones. Like, what will his next step look like? Michael Kesselring was basically a throw-in in a trade a few years ago and has blossomed into, a really, really talented skater with one of the hardest shots on the team. We've seen him shoot the puck at over 100 miles an hour this year. So what will his next season look like? But I think you need to go out and get that number, another top 6 centerman. That's probably number one. And honestly, probably another goaltender. Right now, Connor Ingram, the other goaltender for Utah besides Karel Vejmelka, he's in the player assistance program, and we just don't know what that looks like for him. We hope him the best, and we want him to get better and to a point where he's mentally healthy, but there's just not a lot of information that comes out of that program oftentimes, which is a good thing. But it's hard to plan ahead for that, so you have to think you might need another goaltender to help shoulder the load with Vejmelka. As far as other guys potentially joining the ranks next year, Artem Duda is a young defenseman that was down in the AHL this past year. He was probably the best defenseman with the Tucson Roadrunners there in the AHL. So look for him coming out of camp to potentially make a splash. And then you've got 2 Russians who are really high draft picks, both first rounders by the Arizona Coyotes from a couple of years ago, in Daniil Boot and Dmitry Simishev. Those guys have been playing in the top league over in Russia, the KHL, and it's one of the better leagues in the world, maybe the second best league in the world. They've been playing against grown men for this last season, and they're coming along really nicely. They're both big, rangy guys. Boot is a forward. Simishev is a 6'6" defenseman who It sounds like he can skate like the wind. And you never quite know what it's going to be like bringing players over from Russia. But you got to get them out of their KHL contract and this and that and the other thing. So there's some question marks there. But if they are able to come over, I would look for them to potentially have a real chance to make the team coming out of camp, because those are a couple of really high draft picks that Utah is looking forward to capitalizing on in the future.
Mike Folta, play-by-play announcer for the Utah Hockey Club, joining us here on the Full Court Press. And I hope you don't mind that we use a basketball term for the name of the show. We're talking hockey right now. But
I love it. It's like a forecheck. You know, anybody doesn't know what a forecheck is, think of a full court press.
Yeah, there you go.
I was about to ask if there is an equivalent term in hockey.
Well, so let me ask you. Today, I saw a lot that kind of the exit interviews, if you will, the locker cleanouts and things like that with the team today. One comment that did kind of jump out to me, Sergachev talking about how great the community is, how great it is for families, and really kind of glowing, I guess, response to how it's been here. And how well does that play in free agency? Because we know in some other sports, particularly in the NBA, there's always been this narrative that Utah Jazz will always struggle to get free agents to come to Utah because of the culture in the NBA. But it seems like there's a very different culture in the NHL. Is that true? And would Utah be an ideal destination for free agents?
I think the cultures in the NBA and the NHL are about as similar as Manhattan, New York today, and like ancient Greece. I think it's probably night and day from my understanding, and there's no right or wrong. I just think you've got very different values on each side. But we've been hearing from players all year about the welcome that they've received from this community and this fan base. So it's no surprise to hear Sergachev mention that. And I should also add, like, it's been tough for a lot of these guys to move. I mean, a lot of the players coming from Arizona had really grown to love Arizona. I think it was Clayton Keller and Lawson Krause who had both just like finished houses right before they got the news that hey, you're moving to Utah. And so and Sergachev coming from Tampa Bay, he had just finished up buying a house in Tampa Bay and like getting ready to start and continue his young family there. He's got a young son who I think is maybe less than a year old. And so to have that kind of family reception from Utah has meant a ton to especially these young dads. Lawson Krause has a youngster. Like I said, Sergachev does as well. You have Nick Bukestad was here with 3 young daughters, and Alexander Kerfoot has a new young daughter as well. Same with Spicy Tuna, Liam O'Brien. So these young dads, these young fathers on the Utah Hockey Club have really noticed the family element that's here in Utah. Obviously, we know it's a great place to raise a family, and that matters to guys. In the free agency market, it's hard to tell how much that makes an impact. I think the first thing that guys look at in free agency is probably the organization. How well are you treated by the ownership and the team as a whole. And Ryan Smith and the ownership group got flying reviews from the players during exit interviews, and the guys couldn't sing the praises of Ryan and Ashley Smith enough in the interviews today. So it's really cool to hear that type of praise. And yeah, hopefully with $22 million to burn here in free agency, Utah can bring in a couple of those free agents and add to what's already a really exciting and talented roster.
So, no, we've mentioned the offseason and different things the hockey club may decide to do. But while I've internalized the offseason calendar of the NBA and NFL growing up, I've not always been familiar with the NHL. Just kind of walk us through what that, the steps of the NHL offseason, because obviously there's things like free agency and the draft, but when are we expecting, when are those things happening? What can we expect from the hockey club at different points in the next few months before things get going again in October?
So what's fascinating is if Utah is one day in the Stanley Cup Finals, there's not going to be much of an off season. I mean, that thing, they hand out the cup in like late June. So enjoy the summer here while it lasts, because this team is gearing up for playoff runs in the future, and those could really push pretty far into the summertime. But we've got the Stanley Cup playoffs here all the way through June. And then we've got the NHL draft at the very end of June. That'll be in Los Angeles this year. Utah has, right now, they're in position to get the 14th overall pick. But with the lottery, they could move up all the way to 4th. They could not get the 1st overall, but they could move up to 4th, I believe it is right now. So you got the draft in late June. And then right after the draft, the week leading up to 4th of July, is what we call development camp. And that's when all the draftees of that year, and then a lot of the other unsigned draft picks, or maybe they're signed but they haven't made a pro debut yet, those guys will come into Salt Lake City and they'll do some training. They'll kind of meet the staff. That's an opportunity for the young prospects within the organization to get to know the trainers and the staff and the coaches and things like that. So that's kind of a neat weekend in early July. Then coming up early September, we have what's called rookie camp, which is you bring all those same guys back, and they'll do some showcase games against other teams and things like that. But once again, that's a chance to get on ice, have the organization see the players in person on ice, wearing the colors and the uniform. Then after that, we've got training camp and preseason games. I should mention as well, maybe the biggest date of the year, July 1st. That's the start of free agency. And so you'll see a lot of trades get made then. You'll see a lot of, obviously, free agent signees. But that's kind of when a lot of rosters get shaken up is July 1st. So that's kind of a rough view of the calendar.
So just a few weeks ago, Ryan Smith had a bunch of people down at that Southtown Mall kind of showcasing how things are progressing with the practice facility. Were you part of that? Did you get to see how that's progressing and what that eventually will look like for the team?
Sadly, I did not make it out to that. I was nursing some soreness from a pickup basketball game the night before, so I was on the IR for that one. But seeing all the footage and all the renderings and talking to the staff members who are involved in that and the PR staff, it's going to be like the Millennium Falcon in there. I mean, it is going to be futuristic and state-of-the-art, and the players are going to have everything that they need. And talk about, attracting free agents. When guys see that type of investment in the players, because that's what that space is for, right? The players. When they see that type of investment in the players, that's attractive to guys who are looking for a place to play. Of course, those rinks will be used for, community games and things like that, where, other community leagues will be able to use that ice. But the training facility side, that's going to be the player's safe space, and it's going to be state-of-the-art.
So, Mike, I got to ask the most important question of all of them.
Oh, that's right. We were supposed to lead with this question. Go ahead, Jason.
And that is the time we've been talking about the Utah Hockey Club, and there's been rumors that the name has been chosen. I guess you have any insight on a timeline for when a new name, or I don't know, the Hockey Club, I guess, was still on the table for a permanent name, but do we have anything of a timeline as far as when that may end up being announced this offseason?
I would love nothing more than to break news on this show. But I was trying to bend the ear of our PR staff earlier, and they were not giving me an inch earlier today. I do think at first Mammoth got a lot of play, and when people saw that Mammoth was in the mix, and they saw that Yeti wasn't going to be an option, I think people automatically thought, like, okay, it's going to be Mammoth. I think there's no insider baseball here. This is just my speculation, and from talking to other fans, I think Utah Hockey Club has a lot more support than what I initially thought, because I was among those who thought, oh yeah, it's going to be Mammoth, Tusks up. But I think Utah Hockey Club has a lot more support than what I had initially picked up on. So I don't know. In my opinion, I think Mammoth and Hockey Club are the two the two front runners here. But I think now maybe this is a little bit of inside baseball. I don't think anyone ran away with the vote once it came down to three: Mammoth, Utah Hockey Club, and Outlaw. I don't think there was I think one clearly won, but I don't think it was by far and away the winner.
Interesting. Okay.
There we go.
That's fair enough.
The drama will continue.
Yes, string it out a little bit
waiting.
What do you guys want? What do you guys want?
I think I'm just no. I was a little disappointed when I heard you say Utah Hockey Club might have more support because it feels like a good temporary name, but I'm not great on it long term. Whether it's Mammoth or Outlaw, I'm not really too partial to either. I'd lean more toward Mammoth, but if it's Outlaw, it's like all right, I'll go buy an Outlaw sweater. But
yeah.
It's like I just want there to be a more permanent nickname than Utah Hockey Club because it's really unyieldy to say in a lot of senses. Although you'll have more insight on how unyieldy it may sound for the most part.
It's a soccer term being applied to hockey.
Yeah,
that's not fair.
Right, and I don't want to be a club. Like, you could be a part of speech club or chess club, or
like I can call it a club,
collecting club. I want to be a team.
Offhand, I can call it. Hey, it's the club. Like we use that as some kind of tertiary term, but you got to have like an established nickname. Otherwise, it got to be like UHC or Clubbers, or
right.
It's like.
Well, club sports are always like the unsanctioned, right? They're not
true.
Quite there on the same level.
So that's
my other question for you, Mike, is just about the facility itself, Delta Center. It's they've done what they can with what they have. It's not the best hockey facility as an arena because it does have some issues with sight lines. I know that they have ideas of things that they want to do, but have you heard anything about timelines? Are they going to do anything in this offseason to try to improve some of that, or is that still a little bit down the road? Yeah,
so the renovations are going to take a couple years. Basically, the first step is to kind of blow out that lower bowl, and then work on each end zone, if you will. And so, from my understanding is that first part, blowing out that lower bowl, that's kind of the initial plan here for this summer. And I just hope they don't move the broadcast booth because our setup is phenomenal. We broadcast from where the Jazz broadcast from at the top of Section 7, right behind the Chick-fil-A, and we're like right in the atmosphere. I mean, we're high-fiving people after goals and stuff. We are right in the middle of it. And most bars you go to, they stick you way up in the rafters where you're not really, feeling the same atmosphere. So I hope they don't move our broadcast setup. But, from my understanding is over the next couple of years, it's going to be, work on the lower bowl to make it so that the seats go all the way down to the glass in some parts, which they didn't exactly do this year. So that's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be really steep in there still, which I think is going to add to the atmosphere and continue what was an amazing home atmosphere this year. And then in the years to come, work on expanding the ends, if you will, the ends of the ice so that everybody can see the entire game throughout. But it's an exciting time, and getting to see the renderings and such, it's pretty cool to see.
Last question for me. It's just the state of the sport generally this year. Certainly big news, big excitement with Alex Ovechkin. Just his chase and eventually surpassing the great one. Just the overall health of the sport. How would you kind of assess how the NHL is doing right now?
It's in a great spot. I mean, you got the great chase with Ovi, like you said. I think what hockey has going for it is like that intensity of hockey will never go away. And we saw that in the Four Nations tournament. That was a huge
it's fantastic
injection of life for our sport. And like what better way to dominate a weekend when the NBA, with all due respect, is putting on a skills competition for their all-star game. And in hockey, you've got guys in the middle of their seasons that are out there, killing each other and putting their bodies on the lines, representing their country. Like how incredible was that? And so it doesn't start with the Four Nations, but that was a big piece of it this year. The game is more skilled and faster than it ever has been. And in a market like Utah, that's one of the youngest markets, maybe the youngest market in America, like it's the perfect nexus of sport and recreation with young fans. And seeing the commitment from Ryan Smith and Ashley Smith and SEG to build more rinks and to help fund more rinks throughout the state of Utah and throughout the Valley, like that's so exciting to me to see that grassroots movement. And it's not a move that's going to directly lead to ticket sales next year. That's an investment in the future of hockey and in the future of sports here in Utah by the Smith ownership group. So that's so exciting to see. I mean, from a league perspective, like the big storylines heading into the playoffs, like will the Maple Leafs finally get it done for the first time since the 60s? They're a contender this year. Who's going to come out of the West? You've got Dallas and Colorado, two incredibly exciting teams with elite players that are meeting in the first round. And there's storylines galore alongside that. You got Ovechkin leading the Capitals and all of that. But it's a great sport that we all love, those of us who have worked in hockey, and it's been really fun to share it with the state of Utah and see other people get dragged into the madness.
Well, Mike, I think I can speak for all of us that we've really enjoyed your calls of these games, educating us uneducated fans, for some of us who may casually watch the game or listen to these games, help us understand the game a little bit better at a higher level while still keeping it entertaining and fun. And we've really enjoyed having you here on The Fan, calling these games as you've gone all over America and Canada to make that happen. And hope you have a great off season, and we look forward to hearing more of your games next year.
Guys, it's been a pleasure, and can't wait to get back to the Spec for some more Aggies hoops. That was one of our better nights of the year right there. Myself, Adrian Denny, who does our pre and post game, Will Trubshaw, our producer, we all hit up the Spectrum to catch the Aggies in action, and I'm an Aggie on the hardwood. That's my Utah basketball team here.
There we go.
All right, we'll take it.
Got some support from down south.
Absolutely. Very good. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Enjoy your off season.
Yep. We'll see you guys.
All right, Mike Folta, play-by-play announcer for the Utah Hockey Club for SEG Media. And you heard those games and those broadcasts here on The Fan. Got to take a time out. We'll be right back here on the Full Court Press.
It's that first kiss, that moment in time.
Engagement season is in full swing, and Jarek's Fine Jewelry has been helping hundreds of couples find the perfect ring. If you are getting engaged, you have to come browse our collections. Sometimes you may find the perfect ring in just a minute, or we can help you custom create your own design. Oh, and with Mother's Day almost here, talk to us about designing the perfect mother's ring.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. It's our 55th annual Spring Savings event. This Saturday only, triple dip in savings. We have partnered with the major manufacturers to give you exclusive extra savings for this one-day event. Get spring sales prices of up to 40% off, plus pop a balloon for up to $100 extra off, and save even more with exclusive mail-in rebates. This Saturday only, it's Daryl's Spring Sale, where service always comes first. Daryl's West on Airport Road. Listen for the live broadcast Saturday morning.
Rely now on a York Affinity Premium Comfort System to keep your home cool and comfortable. The new Affinity systems are smarter and more connected and more efficient than ever before. And you can cut your energy costs by as much as 50%. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, to schedule a free system evaluation. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning showroom is west of DI and online at advancedheating-ac.com.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Hi, this is Robbie with LSS Insurance. If you're about to turn 65, the Medicare phone calls, mailers, and emails can be unreal. Out-of-market telemarketers simply do not understand Utah, Idaho, or your individual situation. We have real answers and real solutions with local help. At LSS Insurance, we are your health insurance specialists. Call us 752-9493. Having local help makes all the difference, and there's no cost to you. Call 752-9493 or visit lssins.com.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Rev up your Friday nights beginning April 25th. Bike night is back and better than ever at Young Power Sports of Logan. Fourth Friday of every month from 6 to 8 p.m. There'll be food, music, prizes. There'll be games. Wild ride fun for motorcycle lovers and thrill seekers alike. They'll have different games, Harley hooligans, smoke show, and more, weather permitting, of course. But don't miss it. Bike night, April 25th from 6 to 8. At Young Power Sports of Logan. And they sponsor our Full Court Press text line. If you want to weigh in, 435-339-0321. Fun conversation there with Mike Folta. And he, it's his first year calling games here in Utah for radio. As a lot of different people joined that organization this season, and fun to get his perspective on the year that is now concluded and what this offseason will look like for this team as they are going to be working on developing a better team, and they've got money to go get players and fill in some of their gaps. So it could be a very interesting offseason for the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, it's nice seeing a team that's on the tail end of like a rebuilding effort. Of course, I don't know if you call what they were doing in Arizona rebuild, because by all accounts, they just kept continuously. It's like a baseball team that's always stuck in, selling their guys for young prospects. And then they do it every couple of years. And that seemed more like what Arizona was doing. A cheap owner that didn't want to actually build a contender was just content continually tearing their team down. And I don't know if that's reality. Arizona fans might agree or disagree, but that was the implication that I got from comments from people who know more than I do about it. So, but the thing is, they kind of caught them at the right time where they've got a lot of players on the upswing. You got talented players, talented young guys like Logan Cooley, their second highest points players, 20 years old. You got Dylan Gunther. He had 60 points this year. He's 21. Like, you look down the list of their best players, and they're all in their mid-20s. Like Nick Schmaltz, he's their only guy that's like over 26, who was one of their key contributors. I mean, he's only 28, so like he's not even on the wrong side of 30, so to speak. Mikhail Sergachev, he's 26. Like, they've got a lot of young guys that they can hang on to for a while if they want, and they've got free agency money to go out and get maybe a star player. Because maybe they need another top goal scorer. They could maybe use a top tier goalkeeper. So it's really exciting to hear like that this team is on an upward trajectory, has the means to stay on that upward trajectory, and should be able to be contenders in the near future, as opposed to the Jazz, where it's like, yeah, give them 5 years and they might make it to the second round in that time frame.
Right. Yeah, it's a much longer on-ramp for Utah at this point, for the Jazz, I should say. The NHL playoffs they're getting underway. I think we've got games tonight.
There's games today, but I think those are still the regular season. Because I was unless I just have it completely wrong. Because there's games.
I think you're right. I think these are just regular season games.
These games are happening right now. And then I was looking at the playoffs bracket, and they're all game one. They're starting Saturday. There's a couple games on Saturday and Sunday, and then kind of going into Monday. That's Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday's been the last game one will be played. But yeah, you've got game one around the Western and Eastern Conference starting on Saturday, and then that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. The magic begins.
Yeah, April 19th is when the playoffs begin. A couple of games: the Jets versus the Blues, Stars versus the Avalanche. Those are the games on the 19th. On the 20th, you've got 3 games, so you got a triple header. Starts with the Hurricanes and the Devils at 1:00. Then the Maple Leafs and Senators. That's going to be at 5, and the nightcap Golden Knights versus the Wild. And then you've got games on the 21st, one game on the 21st. No, sorry, 2 games on the 21st and 1 game on the 22nd. So, yeah, playoffs for the NHL getting started here this weekend and into early next week. So yeah, it's a fun time of year. Look, if you've been kind of in and out on the Utah Hockey Club and their games, maybe it's been a little bit hard to find or watch some of them. This really is the best time of the year to watch hockey because it's at a whole other level. The broadcasters always do a great job of explaining what's going on and informing people about the storylines of what's happening here. But these are the intensity of these games when you get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just so much at a higher level. It's so fun, so entertaining.
Yeah, it's like even before Utah Hockey Club was, even getting a team, like the last few years, I turn on playoff hockey. Like not even following the league, but I just turn on playoff hockey. I understand the game enough to follow it and enjoy it. So even if I don't understand the true intricacies of what's going on the ice, but it's fun to watch. And you can tell even through the TV, not even necessarily being there. That's the biggest thing is got to go to a playoff hockey game, but you can feel the intensity through the television. It's just amazing. So this is why this is a great time of year because you got NHL and you got the NBA playoffs. I'm going to enjoy the NBA playoffs once they really get going, once we get beyond the play-in.
Yeah, play-in for the NBA has been a bit of a dud. Honestly, we had one exciting game. Other than that, the other games have been just really not that entertaining. There's been some blowouts, games that you thought should be maybe a little bit more interesting, didn't turn out to be. The Kings they just look bad, and the Mavericks with all the ups and downs that they've had. I'll give credit to Anthony Davis; he had a great performance, that team has dealt with turnover, player turnover. They've had injury issues,
incompetence in the front office.
Yeah, weirdness in the front office. But Klay Thompson and Anthony Davis were fantastic and helped lead their team past the Kings, who that's just an embarrassing franchise at this point.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
Go Mavs.
And then we thought it would be an interesting close game between the Heat and the Bulls, but that one wasn't close either with Miami knocking Chicago out of the playoffs for the third straight year.
Yeah, Tyler Hero. Is it Hero or Hero?
I thought it was Hero.
I've heard it both ways, and that's my problem is I can't figure out which one it actually is because I'm too lazy to actually look up which one it is. 38 points, obviously fantastic for him. But yeah, the Bulls, I don't know what the Bulls are because they're the team, and maybe this is in my head because somebody was pointing this out on Twitter, but there are fans that are upset with the Jazz for what they've done this season, and I get it. I should say I understand it. I was generally in favor of the tank because, to me, it's you want to get a championship. But the Bulls are what the Jazz could end up being if, you don't commit to, you either sometimes you got to bottom out or, sometimes you're lucky enough you can stay at the top. The Jazz have been lucky enough that they kind of were, for the most part, for most of my lifetime, they've been in the playoffs, barring a couple years where maybe they just barely missed it or were on the fringe. But the Bulls are just they are the epitome of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, a once proud program that has really struggled to figure out who they are and what they want to be.
They tried to get guys like DeMar DeRozan. They had Jimmy Butler at one point, but it's so far beyond that. I'm not sure I associate Jimmy Butler with the Bulls anymore, even though that's where he was really getting started. Gone are the days of Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, and right now they got Vucevic, and they've got some intriguing. They got Josh Giddey, they got him out of a trade. It's but they're just stuck in the middle with no path up. Who's going to explode for them? That's going to take them from being a perpetual play-in team to anything resembling a contender. And this is why you bottom out. This is why the Jazz, could they have gotten to the play-in this year? Yeah, probably. What good would it have done them? They'd have been the Bulls.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. All the people that are upset with what the Jazz have done this year, Exhibit A is Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. Do you want the end of your season to be watching yourself lose by 19 in the play-in, or are you willing to stomach a couple of bad years to have excitement and actual aspirations of a championship? The Jazz, now, odds are the Jazz are not going to get that championship with this current wave of what they're trying to do with the bottoming out and getting to the top. Odds are they will not win it because life just ain't fair. But at least you can have that hope. You had that hope with Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. It kind of died when it turns out Donovan Mitchell kind of hated Rudy Gobert and vice versa, I think.
Yep.
And that hope kind of died. So instead of hanging on to that dying hope or dead hope, try and rekindle something new. And yeah, it sucks that the Jazz, all the pride that we had and never having lost like 60 games in a season and always having been at least sort of relevant in the standings. Yeah, it sucks that we lost that because that was a bit of pride. But maybe exchange that pride because all these other teams that are winning championships, they've had that bad season. They've had those top picks. Like I was looking back at all the different champions over the last few years. Basically, all of them had a player that they drafted high in the draft. Basically, all of them
that they were able to build around.
Yeah. Guys like Giannis, Nikola Jokic is an exception, but they still had Jamal Murray. They drafted him at 7. Steph Curry, another guy, top 10 pick in the draft. Excuse me. Luka Doncic getting the Mavericks to the finals. I know they bungled it, but they had him. They drafted him.
Yeah.
So you look at all these teams, they'll have somebody that they drafted that helped take them to the finals or even a championship.
By the exception to that was the COVID year with the Lakers.
Yeah, who
would you really point to there as their homegrown player?
But the whole history of the Lakers,
they are a bit of the exception to the rule anyway.
The Lakers' entire identity as a franchise is by everyone else's good players.
Yeah, with Kobe Bryant being the exception.
Yeah,
and Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson, they got his pick from the Jazz as a compensatory pick for signing away one of their players. So they got handed Magic Johnson. They got handed Magic Johnson. They got handed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They got handed Shaq. They did draft Kobe, but they got handed LeBron. Their entire legacy is having players get handed to them.
Yeah,
they do have homegrown stars. You go all the way back to George Mikan, one of the first original stars, but they're not completely non-existent in stars they've gotten. I think didn't they draft Jerry West too?
I think so. Yeah.
So it's not completely void. I don't want to give the Lakers no credit, but they're a giant exception. If you take away all the stars they bought, they're basically, a decent franchise.
Yeah.
Rant on the Lakers over.
Former Jazz hero Taylor Horton Tucker did score 9 for the Bulls last night. I had forgotten that he was even on the Bulls. But they are out. Chicago's out. So Miami advances. And so we're still in the play-in tournament. No games tonight. But it'll pick up again on Friday. The teams are fighting for the right to be the number 8 seed. So Miami and Atlanta are fighting to see who gets to face Cleveland. And then Dallas and Memphis, they're fighting to decide who gets to face Oklahoma City. Both of those single game elimination game series could be interesting. But I thought some of these other games could be interesting, and most of them have been whimpers. So who knows?
Well, that's the weird thing is a lot of NBA series these days turn into who's going to blow out the other team tonight. It'll be a 6-game series, and 4 of the games are blowouts. It's you got to latch on. It's the series drama between games, and then you got to latch on to those 1 or 2 games in a series that are actually close and good. And hopefully it's game 5 or 6 where the drama really begins to turn in those games.
Yes. We need to take another time out here in the Full Court Press, but when we come back, it's been kind of a dark week in the NBA for a number of people, a number of personnel. We'll update you on who got chopped and who might be still on the chopping block next when we come back on the Full Court Press.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. This is a story that came to us from a real customer, and I wanted to share it with you.
I'm a new CPAP user. The only thing I knew about CPAP when I walked in the door was that I didn't want to wear one. The introductory class with the respiratory therapist at Alpine was great. I left feeling confident and less intimidated by the whole process.
We love hearing about your experiences. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Aggie fans, the Blue and White sale is in week number 2 at Locker 42. New discounts every week on the coolest Aggie apparel. This week, take 30% off all Coliseum jackets, coats, shirts, sweats, and shorts for men, women, and kids. Show your Aggie pride loud, proud, and now for less. 30% off all Coliseum brand apparel this week only. Shop the Blue and White sale at Locker 42 downtown Logan and see more specials at locker42.com.
S.C. Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. Couples throughout the state buy their rings from S.C. Needham Jewelers because of our low prices, extensive ring selection, and extraordinary benefits and services with financing available. Go to scneedham.com to learn more. We have many unique and beautiful engagement rings starting at $500. You'll find affordable engagement rings with our integrity price guarantee. This is why we are where Utah gets engaged. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.C. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
The chips and drinks are endless. The burrito is huge for only $7.95. It's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant and gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and a massive burrito. You pay just $7.95. The food, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th West and Center in Logan.
Do you have a fireplace or stove that isn't working right? Why wait until next winter to get it fixed? Get ahead of the game and get your fireplace or stove serviced now by Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They service everything from Quadra-Fire pellet stoves to heat and glow fireplaces. Get a 20% discount on your next service and labor when you mention this ad. Call 752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. 435-339-0321 for those of you who want to chime in on the Young Power Sports text line. 9315 texting in. Are the Jazz getting turned into a team that just can't seem to get it together? They always bottom down at the bottom of the league. I can't feel that way because it seems like the lottery odds never go in our favor.
Yeah, I'm weirdly pessimistic about the Jazz in the lottery because they have the top odds, but it's a 50-50, basically a coin flip or slightly better than a coin flip. Or it's a 47% chance they fall to number 5. It's kind of ridiculous that it's 1 through 4 are all in the low teens, and then 50-50 you get to number 5. But it's there to deter teams from doing exactly what the Jazz did. So the lottery is there to punish the team at the top.
That's the risk.
So the Jazz took that risk, and as I keep saying over and over, you got to get lucky. That's just what it comes down to. The Jazz are doing what they can, but ultimately they're going to be victims or what's the opposite of a victim?
Hero?
Saved by luck. There's a term and I'm suddenly forgetting it. But it's victim or patron of luck, I guess, is a way you could say it. So whether
beneficiary?
Beneficiary. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Victim or beneficiary, where it's they're either going to get sucker punched by the lottery or they're going to get some grace. I mean, the Spurs got that. They got handed Victor Wembanyama. Now their trajectory is it's just, all right, when does he become a superstar? And they'll go to contending. Can the Jazz get the same with Cooper Flagg? He's not the same prospect as Victor Wembanyama, but he's up there with some of the higher prospects we've seen. So we'll see.
They took, but the thing with San Antonio is they took another bad year. I mean, they were able to get Stephen Castle, even though even after Wembanyama's rookie year. Then they added another solid player. They still missed the playoffs this year, so they could still get another lottery player before they really start to turn some things around to be legitimately competitive in the NBA.
Yeah, that's where half the time I send the lottery, the Spurs just keep jumping toward the top.
They're always around.
And it makes me sick how lucky they are. It's just ridiculous.
So a number of, kind of a Black Monday in the NBA earlier this week. Then there were more consequences of bad performances in the NBA last night. You had a couple of coaches get fired, and now we've had a couple of executives get fired. Sacramento fired their GM after losing their game last night. We already heard about Phoenix firing Coach Mike Budenholzer, their owner, Matt Ishbia, today, saying that the season was embarrassing, and it was...
wonder whose fault that is.
Yeah, it was really bad. It's like, why are you saying those things when, like, you're signing on the dotted line on some of this
It's like, these
stuff?
were all your decisions.
So why are you firing the coach and not the general manager who put the team together?
Yeah, it's always the coach's fault.
It's like the coaches are too quick to catch the blame in the NBA. That's one of the major problems I have with the NBA is that the coaches are the first to be the fall guys for what goes wrong instead of the real culprits.
Yeah, they're usually not the problem.
No. But, a number of executives got fired. A couple of coaches got fired. So I don't know that we're done with that. Usually
they get done pretty quickly. And considering there were several teams that couldn't even wait until the end of the season.
That's true.
I think we're probably
Memphis
done.
and Denver.
We're probably just about done with any of the major firings. Maybe there'll be another one, but we probably made it through most of them.
Yeah, so that'll be weird to watch. But play-in tournament continue for the NBA, and then the real playoffs get going on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't look it up, so I couldn't tell you.
I had it open, and I've already moved off of it. But yeah, some needed changes for some organizations and some weird ones for others.
Yeah, you got playoff games on Saturday.
Oh, on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's some of the weird things going on in the NBA. Let's do this. Let's take a quick timeout here in the Full Court Press. And when we come back, pick 6, the 6 things we think will happen this weekend. Coming up next on the Full Court Press.
Need a reliable partner for your medical needs? Look no further than Triton Medical and Transportation. We offer top quality medical soft goods right here in your community. From incontinence supplies and oxygen needs to medical transportation. Whatever you need to stay comfortable and healthy, we've got you covered. Trust Triton Medical and Transportation, caring for our community with every step, every mile. Call us today at 435-557-6687 or visit us online at mytritonsupply.com. Triton Medical and Transportation, because your health matters.
Hi, this is Jason Smith. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Bridgestone tires. Go to TireRack.com/sports to see their Bridgestone test results, tire ratings, and reviews. And be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Hi, this is Jason Smith. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Continental tires. Go to TireRack.com/sports to see their Continental test results, tire ratings, and reviews. And be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Let's celebrate teachers. Is there any group that deserves good sleep more than good teachers? Let's reward them by giving away $10,000 worth of Purple and Tempur-Pedic mattresses and pillows and gel seats. Go to My Mattress Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and leave a comment about who you're nominating and why, how they inspired you, or how they helped you love that subject in school. Nominations are open now through April 20th. Isn't it time for teachers to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Wrestling with my mic boom here.
He's having a time over there.
It's not my friend. But, hey, it's a Thursday. And that means it's an opportunity for us to try to predict what will happen before the weekend. We call it Pick Six.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way.
It's the Full Court Press Pick Six.
Ever since March Madness ended, I am so bored.
6 things we think will happen this weekend.
I don't know how the whole betting thing started, but it's fun.
All right, Jason, I actually won.
Wait, what?
I know.
I lost?
It's a big celebration around here.
Hold on, let me look at the script.
And because I won, I'm going to have you go first with your lines.
I'll take the honor. So let's go with this. Upsets in some first round games of the NHL playoffs. Only the Saturday, Sunday games, since there'll be some on Monday. So we'll isolate Saturday, Sunday. So upsets is based off seeding. How many will there be? There's 5 games. So I set the line at 2.5 on upsets based on the seeding of these teams. How many upsets will there be? Over, under 2.5.
I'm gonna take the under.
All right, I'll take the under as well.
Okay.
Combined points by former Jazzmen on the Timberwolves. I'm gonna isolate 3. Technically, I'm gonna exclude 1 former Jazzman, but he might not play. So Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. How many combined points do they have against the Lakers in Game 1? I set the over/under at 28.5.
I'm going to take the. I'm going to take the under.
All right, I'll take the over.
It's a pretty good line.
And then, by the way, USC softball right now leading Nevada 7-2. They're on the bottom of the 6th. Although Nevada getting some players in scoring position, but runs by Utah State in the Friday-Saturday games, a 3-game series. So how many runs does Utah State score in both of those games combined? I set the line at 11.5. Now, Utah State and Nevada are first and second in the standings right now.
I'm going to take the under.
All right. I'll take the over.
Okay.
Now your lines.
My 3 lines. Which duo will score more in their opening game in the NBA playoffs? Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, or LeBron James and Luka Doncic?
LeBron and Luka.
I'm going to go with Jokic and Murray.
All right.
Combined shots on goal in the All-Canada series, Toronto versus Ottawa, in their game on Sunday. So combined shots on goal on Sunday, 25.5.
Over.
Okay. I'm going to take the under. But the game is Sunday at 5 on ESPN2. And then his finish in the Saudi Grand Prix, Oscar Piastri, 2.5.
So if I say over, that's worse, right?
Correct.
I'm going to go over.
Okay, I'll take the under. And then our tiebreaker is on Sunday on ESPN at 5 o'clock. The Padres are at the Astros. Pick the winner.
I don't know how good either of those teams are doing this year. I'll go with the Padres.
Then I've got the Astros.
All righty. There's pick 6.
There you go. That's pick 6. So we'll recap it on Monday, see how well we did. We'll tally it all up and see if I can get 2 wins and going in a row, or if it was a very brief time on top.
A brief reprise.
But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, thanks to Mike Folta, who joined us earlier in the hour to talk about the Utah Hockey Club. If you missed any of that, it'll be on our podcast feed shortly. Last hour, we talked a lot about Utah State basketball and the Mountain West. That is available on our podcast feed and on our website, 1069thefan.com, and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Have a great night, everybody. We'll be back at it again tomorrow right here on 1069 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The home for Sports Talk Radio. KLGN Logan, 1069 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.